what we're here for.
Awesome, man. So let's take a couple minutes to go back to the beginning, which was only a few 3 short months ago. What was life like then, man? Like, what was life like before we started working together? What was going on?
Oh man, it was extremely chaotic. I feel like, I would set little goals for myself, and then, just soon enough it would be like goal was here and then here and here and here, and it was never enough. And then that would get into my business. I was treating, my employees just not well. Um, my relationship was suffering. I was, just taking out all this basically emotional baggage on my girlfriend and on the people closest to me. And I wasn't getting out climbing at all. I hadn't been climbing in months. Wasn't in the mountains, wasn't camping. Uh, Pretty much was just working myself, you know, constantly at the restaurant, and didn't need to do that.
So, Evan, when you talk about emotional baggage, what are you talking about, and how is that affecting you?
So pretty much, like, to sum it up, there were just a few things that had happened in my life, in the couple years prior, since we went into business for ourselves. And, life can be very stressful when you do that. And just some things had happened, and I said I got over them, and I really didn't. I never really addressed them. And then here I was about a year and a half later, just pissed off still at the same thing that I never got over. And that would, create some bad thoughts. And then that would create just an evil side of Evan that, wasn't me. And then once I would go off the deep end like that, it would hurt everyone around me. It would hurt my business. It would just, it was very bad. So, really had to address that, and didn't realize how much baggage was there until, got to dive into it pretty deep there.
So you have all this emotional baggage. You're frustrated. You're angry. You're overworking. How else were you coping with all the things going on in your life and your business at this time?
Oh man, during that time I was definitely drinking a bit too much. That was one way. Um, and then also I wasn't taking accountability for any of it, or if I was, it wasn't true. It wasn't genuine. It had some ulterior motive, usually out of spite, and nothing was getting done. And yeah, it's kind of hard to describe what else went wrong. Just my whole life was extremely off balance during that time, and I really needed to focus on making a change for it.
Mhm. Evan, can you kind of describe the current state of your relationship with your girlfriend before we started working together? What was going on, man?
Yeah, so we were definitely arguing quite a bit. We weren't communicating at all. I can't remember the last time that we had, gone on like a date night, or just like really, sat down and talked to each other about where we wanted to end up, where we saw this ending up, if, we continued down the same road, as well as what our goals were in the business, so that we can both be completely on the same page with, what each other wants, and we can respect those things, and also respect to disagree at times. As well as, I would quite frequently say if she was in a bad mood, um, I would take it as something I did. And there's a whole lot more to life than just me. The world doesn't revolve around me. So learning too that I had to, just let her be angry, let her be sad, upset. She can feel however she wants. And like, who am I to, you know, it's not all about me. So I had to, address that a bit. And then also just there were a few things that we did to, kind of hurt each other in like the year prior, and nothing too insane, but, stuff that needed to be addressed. And we were taking those things out on each other at random times. So it would lead to just kind of some BS fights that never needed to happen because we had them like 8 times before, but we were just frustrated or stressed out. So that was before Scott. And yeah, it wasn't a healthy place to be for us.
So Evan, we started working together right about at the last peak of COVID. And one of our first conversations, you said, Scott, I got to figure out a plan to dissolve and get out of this business. Tell me a little bit about what was going on and why that was the case.
So COVID was pretty much kicking our ass this summer. You have to make the money for the winter over here. You have all the tourists that come in the summer to Smith Rock and in the fall. And if you don't have a good summer, well, winter's not going to be good for you. On top of just the losses that, we had earlier in the year with COVID, we were definitely pretty scared. And what we did there was we were looking at ways, to get out of this, and wasn't really sure if I was going to continue to navigate this because of, the constant changes. And we kind of feel like we were just getting beat up. And, once they announced that we could reopen, in May, everybody was all excited, but, only about a quarter of the people were coming in at times. So it was really scary. Our bank account was dwindling, and before we, owed a whole bunch of people money, I, looked at Scott and I wanted to come up with a plan that would salvage my relationship with my landlords at the time, as well as, allow myself and Jamie a, exit strategy from the business. And that was before, and it was definitely a really hard time. Kind of felt like I was just a failure and that I couldn't do it. I'm not really sure where it came from, but it just all of a sudden it felt like too much for us. And yeah, that was before I started working with Scott.
So overwhelmed, you're kind of on the edge of the ledge, about to give up on this restaurant that you've put your soul into, but you didn't do that.
No.
Tell us a little bit about what you did.
So after the first week of working with Scott, we have these things called action items. And one of them was to decide if I really wanted to leave this business or if I wanted to pivot and prosper. And I took the week and I wrote a lot about it. I talked with Jamie a bit about it, spoke with my, all the necessary people that would be involved. And I decided I wanted to pivot and prosper and dig my heels in and really just go at this thing. And, if I was going to go out, I mean, like it's going to be a tough one, but you're not going to get me out of this thing without a fight. So we've put a lot of work and effort and love into this place for it just to be thrown away because of COVID. That's not going to happen. So we really, really wanted to do something. And this was kind of right before all those fires, the devastating fires that happened on the West Coast this year. And soon thereafter, we had like really bad smoke in the area. No one was going out. Air quality was like record high, record highs, but you don't want to be out there. And it was not a good time for the business. And, we were still like curious, like, oh, shit, what do we do now? Like, I want to pivot and prosper. And now we're socked in with all this smoke, and there's a pandemic hiding in that smoke too. And I mean, wouldn't surprise you if Godzilla came out of the mountains. And so we were just really concerned. And then instead of sitting around and like closing and not doing something, I realized that we had all this food and we have, vendors and people that can donate. So during that time, we were like, well, COVID or not, we need to help. We have a restaurant. So we ended up donating tons and tons of meals to the American Red Cross right down at the Deschutes Fairgrounds. We provided lunch and dinner for 3 days over there, which was it was awesome to do. They were super, awesome people to work with. And all it took was just like making some phone calls one morning, and I feel it was great. I got a hold of one person who was standing right next to the guy I needed to talk to after, half hour of phone calls, and it all worked out great. And at that moment, we just knew like, we have a purpose here. We should do something. And so then we started, thinking what we could do more for our community. We started getting more donations, collecting clothes, and, just doing what we can to, help the victims of the fire and just support our community. So we kind of just shifted away from thinking about just the money about it. And it's like, all right, how can we help at this point? Because no one's stepping up right now. Well, people are stepping up. I don't want to say no one, but it seems like more people should be stepping up. And we kind of followed the lead of a few people, and it was just really exciting to get into. And then we kind of reignited our spark. All of us were just going, and, all my employees were just so that, people were stoked to be here. Even when we're socked in with smoke, like, we were thinking of ways that, we can be better. And then, once the smoke cleared, October happened, which in the restaurant around here, that's a very good month for us. There's the Smith Rock Pumpkin Patch. So you got tons of families going there, as well as, October is a great time to be at Smith Rock rock climbing. So we had a ton of climbers. We ended up just crushing sales that month. And, we had a record month. That month, that was just insane. We had some record days. And it was just a fantastic thing to see. And it really helped us, going into November. And, business has slowed a little, but we're going stronger than we thought. And, now we're just thinking of what more we can do for the community. We're doing a whole bunch of Thanksgiving pies, and we baked a whole bunch extra that are going to be donated tomorrow, just around Redmond and around Bend. And then we're going to, work on a Toys for Tots kind of thing for Christmas, and, really try to get some donations there. And just do what we can for the community. And once we've shifted our focus on that, we found it's way more fun.
So inspiring to hear that, even after COVID, the wildfires hit, that could have had a catastrophic effect on your restaurant. And instead of folding and caving in, you stepped up and really gave back to your community. And you didn't really start experiencing business growth for another month or so later, but you just had faith that it was going to work out. And that's just amazing story. So
I'm not going to lie, it was scary at the time. Like, when we were just digging in there, and we're like, all right, well, if it's going to happen, we're going to try at least. And didn't know if anything was going to work out. And I, just doing the stuff for the community too. It wasn't just about like increasing the business. It was just what we could do for ourselves. Not for ourselves, but for the community around us. Because we're all together on this stuff. We're all socked in by the fires. You have like I think it was like 500 people down at the fairgrounds whose homes burned down. It's like, that sucks. I can't imagine. So yeah, it put it into perspective of what we should really be worrying about and stepping up for. So, good learning process right there.
So you restarted the heartbeat of your business, but you also did a lot of personal inner work and work to improve your relationship with your girlfriend. Can you tell me a little bit about the positive effects that you've experienced in those aspects of your life?
Yeah. So one of them, which I've already kind of discussed now, is that emotional baggage that I was just carrying around. And Scott worked with me for it was not an easy process. It took me a few weeks to actually like, sit down and really address this damn thing. And, once I wrote it out, I mean, there was a lot there. And, once I read it a few times and I shared some stuff with Scott, and I read it once more and just took his advice and burned it. And like, one thing that I noticed is after like seeing all that stuff, like my biggest like insecurity stuff that I didn't want anybody to ever see, or like I never wanted to address myself, just right there in my own handwriting, written right in front of my face. I could kind of come to terms with those things and finally bury it, like finally forgive whatever the situation was, or just learn from it, address that and kind of have that closure. Yeah, and then I burned them, and I haven't like once brought them up. We haven't had one, like me and my girlfriend have not had one like of those fights that's just out of nowhere, something that happened like last August or something like that didn't need to happen. That really, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't matter at all. Like, why are we fighting about that now? And none of that has been brought up. We communicate a lot better, and we know each other's needs on that, but also like stuff just for like on my side of things, getting rid of that, like it just freed up my headspace. I was able to focus on the things that really mattered, like, cooking some delicious food for this amazing community, going rock climbing out at Smith Rock, something I love to do, or going up to Mount Hood and just mobbing around with one of my best friends. Like, I can do that stuff. I can go home and be next to my amazing girlfriend who supports me in every single one of my goals. And then I can go to work at my world-class restaurant, and just, it's a great life. And I realized that like that spark has been ignited again. And before in August, I mean, it wasn't there, or at the very least, it was like just a little bit, like a little lighter, a little bit lighter. Now I feel like a bonfire.
Evan, you have some new dreams, goals, and aspirations that we're starting to talk about in terms of adventure and with your business and your relationship. Can you take a couple of minutes to unpack your next peaks that you're climbing towards?
Yeah. So let's see, we'll start with my business. This one's very simple, but very complicated at the same time. Just continuing to learn COVID and how to navigate through COVID so that I can continue to support this community through this tough time. We're going to be open all winter long. And that way next year too, people know that I'm here and I can continue to, we got some like building renovations we want to do. I really just want to ramp this place up and just make it the destination of my dreams, like get some feng shui this place. So that's one of the business goals there, and just navigate through COVID so that we can, successfully thrive for the next at least 8 years here, hopefully. For my relationship, we've just been working on our communication and really healing together still from just, any trust issues that we had before. And realizing that like the issues that we had, we can definitely get through all of them. And so we've just been setting those goals to have, a date night every week, and really communicate, have those heartfelt talks when we need to. That way we can work towards, just that ultimate goal and get a ring on that finger eventually. So that would be awesome. That's one goal that I'm working towards there. And then I have my adventure goal, which I've been kind of working with Scott and just a few of my close friends with now. Just kind of, I'm about to hire this guy as a running coach that Scott recommended. But I really want to infinity loop the Three Sisters Traverse next year. So it's going to be some like 85 miles or so and over 25K elevation, and just just a absolute adventure. And I really want to do that with joy, or at least as much joy as you can get in that kind of situation, and just get loopy and dance in the mountains. It's just, that's something I really want to do. And I feel it just kind of inside and in my heart. And I've already started the training for that. And really excited for that goal.
Evan, a lot of people have their doubts and hesitations in hiring a coach to help them with their life. How would you describe your return on investment and your experience working with me as really your coach, man?
Oh man, that's a great question. So you have really helped me gain new perspective on things and just avenues in my life. I thought that I could do this whole thing before, like just read books and just pound it into my head, but it's really the conversation with someone who holds you accountable. And I mean, working with the coach, you would assume that they're very intelligent, and you are, and like you really offer a lot of wisdom. And I mean, all the plans that we have kind of come up with and just goals that we've been working towards together. I mean, it really, you have a higher success rate, when you're working with someone like Scott, achieving your goals. And the reason for that is because he's going to hold you accountable. He's going to ask those questions, and he's going to question why you're doing it. And you're going to realize if it means something to you, you'll do it. If it doesn't mean something to you, that thing can go away, and then you're going to focus on what really matters. That's something that Scott's helped me with, as well as finding balance in my life. Something I'm still working on right now, but just, I'll say that how great we had, how great business was one week, but I didn't go rock climbing at all. And then it's like, okay, so next week I have to go rock climbing. I have to do something. I have to keep that going, and I got to find that balance. Even there are some weeks I was working 80 hours. Scott was like, yeah, but you're going to get out to Smith because it's going to keep you going at this while you need to. And it sure did. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't have done that myself, but just talking to Scott about the benefits made sense, and it worked. Guy's a guru.
Tony Robbins says, I'm not your guru. Evan, if someone was kind of on the fence, so to say, or they're looking for a coach or someone to help them navigate challenging times in their life, would you recommend Peak Prosper? And what would you say to them if they were asking you some questions about your experience?
I would definitely recommend Peak Prosper. Scott is just really great dude who's going to give you feedback that is genuine, thoughtful, and like means something. He's not just gonna spew nonsense at you and you're wondering what he just said. He really is, I just said guru, but I mean he's very wise. Something that I've gotten out of this is just how accountable I have to be for myself, and having Scott remind me of my goals along the way has really helped me find the balance of my goals. I tend to forget them quite a bit. I will just be focused on my restaurant goal or my relationship goal or my adventure goal. But working with Scott, I found a way that I could blend all of them together, and that actually makes me a much better person and just much more motivated overall. And I find it's a happier life. And yeah, if you're on the fence, do it.
Why should someone do it? Why should they take action now instead of waiting for someday?
Well, that's really a good question. And when you're ready to be happy and when you're ready to live that prosperous life that you deserve, that's time to do it. When you are really down in the dumps and you feel like you hit rock bottom, do it. If you feel like you're on top of the world, I mean, something's coming at you, you should do it. I really think that this is just for anybody that's motivated. If you are gonna just slack off, not do the extra work, and want to lie to yourself about it, it's not going to be for you. But if you really are looking to grow as a person and just be the best form of yourself, which that's my goal overall, is to be the best form of Evan, that's why you should do it. It really helps doing it.
Hey, Evan, if people are traveling to Central Oregon, where can they visit you? Where can they find more about the Depot restaurant?
Oh man, TerrebonneDepotRestaurant.com. We're located at 400 Northwest Smith Rock Way. It's a big yellow building right on the train tracks, an old train depot. You can sit on the patio and watch the trains go by as you're looking at Monkey Face or the Three Sisters. Really hard to miss if you're out here. We're on Instagram, Terrebonne Depot Restaurant. Find us on Facebook as well. Our menu is constantly changing, and we always are running specials. So if you're in the area, come on by and say hi. I'd love to cook you some delicious food and get you some amazing service here.
Awesome. Hey, Evan, thank you so much for your time today. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.